Hello, Multiverse. Welcome to Omniverse Gamers. My name is Damian Bizio. Today we're going to dissect another dynamic encounter. Hopefully that'll help you guys see how I use my thought processes to develop an encounter for my party that is more dynamic and not just, a basic slog of like see the enemy attack. I'm going to show you how I make my encounters mean more than just, the numbers attack and how you make things move around and how you change the battlefield in certain ways and give the players other things to think about than just attacking the monster. So this is an encounter I use in Long Road to Abzu episode 5. I just used basic goblins and basic shambling mound. I didn't alter them at all. So most of my monsters I usually alter, but this one I just wanted to keep. Sometimes I like to just do basic monsters to show you guys how you can just take basic monsters and make an encounter that's different than the normal just attack slash roll dice slog. We killed the monster. You want some more things to go on in your combats, so make it feel more real and more dynamic and more exciting. Some setup for this encounter. They're traveling on Long Road. They're traveling down this road where they're trying to everything is safe that's on the road, but monsters and magical creatures and evil plants can't cross the road. So road's kind of safe. So they're leading this caravan down this road, and they're kind of a little bit ahead of it, and they're kind of like trying to clear it out, so preventing the dangers from hitting the caravan. Like I said, I'm using goblins and I'm using shambling mound. But let me switch over to my double view and I'll show you kind of what they're seeing. So yeah, here's a road. Now you may have noticed I've used this road map before. I'm recycling because I like to, if you have a map, you might as well use it again. Why not? They're on a road. I drew the road. I'm going to use the road again. So this is just a setup. One of our players is a brownie. He can run really fast ahead of people and kind of scout. So he's always kind of the first one to see things. So they're going along the trail, and their perception checks. They hear some grumbling up ahead, some language that they don't speak. It's Goblin, but none of them speak Goblin, so they don't know what's being said. They just know there's some activity up ahead. So our brownie kind of sneaks ahead, goes from rock to rock, kind of sneaks. What he's seeing? So the goblins can't cross the road in this world because it'll hurt them. It's evil. It protects them. It protects the people from evil. So our player, he sees these goblins, and they're clearly like agitated. They have something going on. Like they're frantic. The goblins, and there's 3 of them kind of directing traffic, and what they're doing, there's just one goblin on the one side of the road, and what he's doing, he has a rope, and there's another goblin up on the rock here, as you can see. As the players are watching, the goblin on the rock jumps, and then the goblin with the rope yanks him. So he jumps, the rope yanks him, he goes flying across the road, he actually makes his jump, he lands on the other side of the road. So this is what the players see, and they're like, what's this, And then the next goblin gets up on the rock. It's the same thing. They throw the rope back over. They kind of grumble each other. There's one goblin who's you can kind of see. So in my descriptions, it's pretty clear that this one goblin is directing this little operation. So then the next goblin gets up on the line. He jumps. They pull the string. This goblin actually lands a little better. So the goblins are in the middle of trying to cross the road. Now they keep kind of glancing back to the forest, to the that'd be the left side of the screen right here. The goblins kind of keep looking like they're worried, like something's coming at them or something. I didn't say something's coming at them, but it's just the way I made the goblins. They were clearly trying to get away from something that because they don't. This little operation was very weird. The funny part of this is our brownie. So he's our brownie. So he's a trickster. He likes to mess with people. He runs back to the party, tells them what's going on. So they all kind of get up to a spot where they can see what the deal is here, and then. So the brownie sets up a thing where the next goblin goes, he's going to take his bow, and he wants to shoot the rope. As the goblin pulls it, as he jumps, he's going to shoot the rope out so that goblin doesn't have that momentum and he's going to fall. That was his grand plan. And so in my head, I said, that's fine. I'll make that armor class of that rope 22 armor class, which is hard to hit. Because, he's trying to hit a little tiny rope, but also he's hidden. So I gave him advantage on this attack. He's going to advantage attack, but he has to get a 22 to hit the rope. That's just how it goes. So they all get set up. They're all watching. The goblin jumps. Our brownie lets go. He rolls a 29. He rolls like a crit, basically, with advantage. So I'm like, okay. So the goblin jumps up. He shoots his arrow. The guy goes to pull the rope. The arrow severs the rope. The one goblin with the rope goes tumbling backwards because of momentum. And then the goblin in the air, he's like, yeah, and then he has so he just starts to fall onto the road. He falls onto the road. The road instantly starts to burn him, he's kind of radiation boiling on his back, and he's freaking out. He rolls off the road, and he's he's got all these injuries. So this served a couple purposes. One, it was funny because it was epic. It was hilarious. You'll see if you watch the gameplay, I'll put the link to the actual gameplay. It was hilarious. And then so the road has like a myth to it, and they didn't really know how the road works, if it actually stopped evil or not. It was just it was a rumor. So this goblin falling on the road and cooking, having it cook him, this verified to them that the enchantment on the road is real. Whether how it exactly works, they don't know, but the enchantment does work. It's real. That goblin's, when he touched it, definitely something happened. So it was kind of a way for me to exposition that to the party, because I've been hinting at it and we've been getting rumors, but now they've seen this in action. So that was like a side thing to this encounter. That was just, because again, the goblins are not the encounter. They can just let these goblins go. All the goblins are trying to do is cross this road and get away. So the party can be like, sit back and just let them do their thing. They're not gonna. They have no. But then they're like this caravan coming behind them. Do we leave these goblins just free to just roam around? They can come attack the caravan. Now they could also go talk to the goblins and try to make a deal with them. Even if they made a deal with the goblins, they're goblins. Are they going to really listen to the deal? So they might come back and attack the caravan anyway. So they're just like, we're going to murder these goblins. That's just what we're going to do. So the group kind of splays out and gets in position. And as they're shooting, as they're doing things, the goblins are kind of so busy. I'm rolling perception checks for the goblins. And the goblins do not notice the party just stalking them in the trees. You'll see the party kind of spreads around until the one tiefling, our tiefling paladin, comes out by herself. She's the only one not hiding. She comes out and just shoots a goblin. Bam! Then when she hits a goblin, that's when they notice her. And now they're like freaking out. Oh my God! There's this girl attacking us. She's like, go away! And they kind of come out of the ones that are already across the road. They come to start attack her, except for one who's still helping pull the other guys across. So they're not even. They see the party and they know they're in danger, but the goblins are still more intent on getting across the road than dealing with the party. The battle continues. The nature cleric gets a little closer to the one leader goblin who's on the left side here, and he hears us crunching, and he senses this like ancient primal nature force coming through the forest, just like crunch, and it appears it's a shambling mound. Shambling mounds are just primal creatures. They just eat. And they don't have intent. They're not evil. They're not good. He's just consuming or whatever. And the goblins are freaking out about it, and they're just trying to escape. Now the reason I chose a shambling mound, a couple reasons. One, it's a nature thing. Nature's coming back to life, so it just fit the theme. I like the fact that shambling mounds can eat people. I love getting characters inside of things, because then they're inside and they have to fight out, and it's really great. It's like, oh my God, I'm stuck inside this. But also the factor that shambling mound eats things means that he could have eaten other people before, so it's a way to get loot to people. And in this game, it's kind of survival, and they're kind of in the wilderness, so it's hard to find places where it's not like they're going to go to a cave and get a loot or a castle. They're in a time crunch, so it's hard. They don't want to go exploring to find the loot that they normally would find, because they have 30 days to live. They have to get to this place in 30 days or they're all going to die. So they're on a time crunch. Loot is a little bit more difficult than a normal game where you go find stuff and you grab it and you hang around doing identify and all that stuff. So it was a way to, when they killed this mound, the mound had eaten people before, so there was a lot of loot inside of the mound. So it was just a way to get them loot, on top of being a fun encounter, because I give them really long tentacles they can have reach, and they can put people in their mouth and eat them. So, and what the goblins are not only a distraction, but the thing is that this thing is trying to eat the goblins because they're closer, and since it can only eat one at a time, when a goblin's in its mouth, it can't eat one of the party members. And the party members kind of figure that out, and they start throwing the goblins at the mound. So our one guy, he's a pacifist, so he was going to try to make peace with you. And the goblins were like, they're all that. So he just grabs him and he just threw him at the mound. So that mound swallowed the goblin, so that prevented the mound from eating the party members. The fact that the mound was eating the goblins, and the fact that the shambling mound can't cross the road because of the curse on the road, or the blessing, depending on your perspective, the party didn't really have to fight the mound. They could leave it there. But then, as I said, the caravan's coming through, and the shambling mound, they can't just leave a shambling mound there to attack the caravan, so they kind of have to deal with the shambling mound. Even though it's nature, it's kind of perverted nature, so the nature cleric was all for killing it, because he knows it's dangerous. And the goblins kind of gave a hint that they knew about this shambling mound from some other. They had encountered this mound before. They kept calling it the loopy, which the characters didn't really explore it much. But I had this mound used to be in the goblin cave. It was like their garbage disposal. It was a weekend thing, and they just kind of fed it stuff and it ate them. But now that the nature is coming back to life in this realm, nature's going back to the old magic nature, like in Xanth, Piers Anthony Xanth. So this mound has come and become more powerful, and just started wrecking the goblin tribe in their little cave, and they kind of escaped, and now the goblins chasing them through the forest, and it just happens to be when the party was going along. So this was like a totally chance encounter that the goblins, neither the goblins nor the mound were after the party. They just were passing through, and they just happened to cross. So the party has to deal with the choices of, do we fight the goblins? Do we let them go? Do we just fight this shambling mound? they chose to use the goblins to throw at the mound, and it just worked out great. It was a great combat that I had, because our paladin has a lot of lightning powers. She has this really good lightning whip, but I made it so that Shambling Mounds, they absorb lightning, so that she couldn't use her best power. She had to kind of mix up and use different powers because she's the hardest hitter, but now she has to think about what she's doing and use different things, you know. And I made since I gave it vulnerability to thunder, which I didn't have to do, but I just thought it would be just make sense that a Shambling Mound getting blown off the ground or blown away would deal double damage because it has all these other resistances. So the players could do nature checks. Of course, with these nature checks, they learned that the mound was immune to fire and it was immune to lightning. Actually, absorb lightning, and they are immune to cold. But then that thunder damage did it a lot, and that they could swallow people. And they knew that it was going to eat them. They kind of figured out some of the traits of the Shambling Mound during the combat. So this made their combat a little more tactical when we can't do this, we can't do this. So during this whole combat, the goblins are still, they're fighting and defending themselves, and the ones that are on the right side are attacking the party, but the ones on the left are still just trying to get across. They're just trying to get away from this mound. That's all they want to do. The goblins, if left alone, the goblins are going to escape. They are not interested in fighting this party. They are interested in living. So as the party's going, they finally take the mound down, and the goblins are all just like, see ya, and they're just running. But then they don't want the goblins to escape, so they just start range attacking. They do end up taking the goblins out, and they kill the goblins. And then they find all the loot inside of the Shambling Mound. So it was a great encounter that they, as you can see, it was kind of a two-sided encounter because the goblins were on one side and the Shambling Mound was on the other side. Every party in this combat had different goals. They weren't just all like, oh, we're going to go to a center and fight each other. The goblins' goal was to get away. The Shambling Mound was just an inanimate object just coming to eat whatever was in its path. It just happened to be the goblins, and the party has to decide what they're going to deal with, and that they have to protect the caravan behind them. Like what the choices they would make for themselves is one thing, but because they have this caravan to protect, they have other considerations, and it just made this combat a lot more interesting than just a normal flat combat. It wasn't just a flat combat that we had for no reason at all. Everything in this combat mattered to something else, whether it was the party's own thing or the goblin's own thing. There was all these other agendas going on. So you can see how that takes a one-layer encounter. You could just run this encounter with here's your party, here's a Shambling Mound, here's some goblins, go fight them. But what makes it dynamic is all the different agendas going on. Which I didn't change. The terrain didn't change at all. The terrain was actually static in this encounter, which is rare for me. But because I didn't need the terrain, the changing factor was the goblins trying to move. They weren't just going to turn and fight. They were going to move through this. So they were the dynamic part. The goblins were like the linchpin of this whole thing. That they didn't really matter. They weren't even really. You could literally ignore these goblins in this encounter and just fight the mound. But the fact that the goblins were there caused this decision making that the party had to do, and then they made it work, and it was really cool. So this combat took a good hour to fight, and it was fun the whole time. It was never just like, oh yeah, we roll dice. I don't. That's the thing. You make it fun, even though it was an hour. Yeah, we fought this random. It was basically a random encounter. It wasn't random because we made it mean something, but it was just an encounter that happened to happen, and it lasted an hour of gameplay. But it was super fun for everybody the whole time because we keep the pacing and we just the different excitement and the different choices that you make made this counter really fun. So yeah, that was another dissecting of a dynamic encounter. This is Mounds and Goblins. Obviously, you can switch out any monsters you want. I just wanted to show you how that one goes. Hopefully that gives you guys some ideas on how to make your own encounters. We are Omniverse Gamers. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave a comment. I'm going to make more of these encounter videos. Some of my encounters I don't have filmed because I only filmed one game, but I have some pictures of the maps. I'm going to try to do some more of these. I hope to see you soon, and keep on gaming.